He was the most reckless driver Formula One had ever seen.
On the outside, and Gutierrez runs into him. Oh dear.
A man banned from the sport's glitziest track for life, fueled by a fortune that sparked outrage, and a driving style so wild it turned races into bedlam. This is the story of Pastor Maldonado, the F1 daredevil who blazed into infamy. Picture a scrappy kid ripping through Maracay, Venezuela in 1985. Pastor Maldonado wasn't born with a trust fund, but he had grit that outshone the sun. At 4, he was slaloming through BMX courses, nearly clinching a national title with a fearless smirk. By 7, he traded pedals for go-karts, dominating local tracks with a bravado that left jaws dropped. Venezuela wasn't a racing haven. Most folks lived hand to mouth, but Pastor outran kids with shinier gear, stacking trophies and a rep for diving into turns like a madman. In 2003, he took a leap. With one bag and a fistful of savings, he bolted to Europe, chasing the ultimate prize, Formula One. Europe hit like a cold shower. His first season was a fiasco. 0 points, 27th place, and a parade of wrecks that had his crew cursing. He had raw pace, no doubt, but his instincts were a mess. Still, glimmers shone through. He snagged 8th in another Renault series and a minor winter race trophy. Small potatoes, but enough to stay alive. In 2004, he roared to life, owning the Italian Formula Renault with 8 victories and 7 poles. This Venezuelan might be legit. He tested an F1 car at a sleepy Italian track with a no-name team, blazing lap times that raised eyebrows. But his all-or-nothing style left engineers nervous. Was he a star or a walking catastrophe? Pastor's boldness was morphing into a liability. Climbing to series like the Renault World Series in 2005, his tendency to overreach was glaring. He'd storm to a podium, then spear a rival's car, forcing his team to rebuild from scratch. In a drenched Bilbao race, he lunged for a daring pass, only to skid into a tire stack, draining his team's budget. European scribes dubbed him the Venezuelan Vortex, a tribute to his searing speed and whirlwind disasters. By 16, he was racing against South American pros, catching the eye of a PDVSA scout who saw him as a future billboard for national pride. In Europe, his early Formula Renault struggles masked a relentless drive. He'd stay late analyzing data, charming mechanics despite his wrecks. His 2004 dominance wasn't just luck. He studied tracks obsessively, memorizing every apex. But his habit of ignoring team orders, like pushing flat out in practice, rattled crews. Then came the blunder that nearly buried his dreams. It was 2006, a crisp Monaco morning, the jewel of motorsport. A car spun out in practice, yellow flags waving to slow the pack. Marshals sprinted to clear debris, their lives on the line. Everyone eased up, honoring the unwritten rule. Everyone but Pastor. He blasted through the corner at full tilt, misjudging the chaos. His car clipped a marshal, who sprawled across the tarmac in a gut-wrenching scene. By some miracle, the marshal escaped with a sprained knee, but the paddock erupted in outrage. The steward swung hard, a lifetime ban from Monaco racing. Pastor's future hung by a thread, his name smeared as a reckless fool unfit for the big leagues. The plot thickens with a shady twist. Venezuela's regime under Hugo Chavez saw Pastor as a propaganda goldmine. With riots shaking the nation and wallets thinning, Chavez craved a hero to shift the spotlight. PDVSA, the state's oil behemoth, swooped in, paying a monstrous fine, gossip to be millions, to erase the Monaco ban. But in Monaco, absolution doesn't come cheap. Pastor was back, but he was no longer just a racer. He was Chavez's pawn, propped up by oil riches. Fans jeered, labeling him a pay driver whose talent was secondary to his bankroll. The tag stuck like tar, igniting debates that dogged him for years. While Monaco's dust settled, Pastor kept racing. He ran a few Formula 3000 races during his ban, holding his own. In 2007, he rejoined the Renault World Series, desperate to rehab his image. He notched podiums in Hungary and France, but trouble trailed him. In Italy, he won only to lose it for a car violation, a gut punch that cost him a shot at the title. He ended 5th, but his speed turned heads. That year, he hit GP2 with Trident Racing, the last hurdle before F1. In a poetic twist, he won in Monaco, thumbing his nose at the track that scorned him. His season was a fever dream, brilliant drives ruined by spins, shunts, or botched passes. In 2008, with PK Sports and GP2, he finished 7th with 1 win and 3 podiums. Decent, but his crashes stacked up, infuriating his crew. In 2009, he joined RT Grand Prix alongside Nico Hülkenberg, who steamrolled the championship. Pastor, he'd dazzle one race, then ditch his car in the gravel the next. His inconsistency was maddening. Then, in 2010, he clicked. Driving for Rapax, he racked up 6 wins, 4 podiums, and 88 points, seizing the GP2 title. It was his F1 passport, but skill wasn't enough. His real fuel was cold, hard cash. Chavez and PDVSA were the masterminds. Venezuela was crumbling. Empty shelves, angry protests, and political strife ruled. Chavez needed a win, and Pastor was his bet. PDVSA funneled millions into Williams for a 2011 F1 seat.
¿Y de dónde saco yo esa plata? ¿Usted me puede ayudar? Bueno, pastor, yo voy a tratar. Entonces llamé, a PDVSA. Y ahora Pastor va a correr con PDVSA Venezuela. Porque él es un patriota.
A move that enraged Venezuelans. Critics screamed the money should have gone to hospitals or food. Pastor was a lightning rod. Half the country hailed him, half saw him as corruption incarnate. Like it or not, he was F1's 3rd ever Venezuelan, paired with Rubens Barrichello at a desperate Williams team. They hoped his cash and Barrichello's savvy would revive them. Spoiler, it didn't. The 2011 season was a catastrophe. Williams' car was a lemon, failing constantly. Pastor and Barrichello retired from the first 2 races, victims of shoddy engineering. Barrichello salvaged points in Monaco and Canada, leaning on his veteran guile. Pastor was a walking calamity. He smashed a barrier in Australia, veered off in Malaysia, and pulled a brain-dead move in Abu Dhabi, ignoring blue flags for a 20-second penalty. His only score was 1 measly point in Belgium. Williams staggered to 9th in the constructors' race, their nadir. Pastor became Crash Tour Maldonado, a meme machine for fans and a headache for rivals, who muttered about his wild swings on track. By late 2011, Pastor's name was synonymous with wreckage, and Williams was reeling. Mechanics griped about endless nights welding his battered chassis, one joking they'd need a Maldonado-proof car. Team Brass stayed mum. PDVSA's checks were their lifeline. Rivals weren't so kind. A midfielder told Press Pastor drove like he's in a demolition derby, a zinger that went viral. His flashy Venezuelan style, gold chains, brash interviews jarred with F1's prim ethos, making him tabloid catnip. Early F1 forums buzzed with Maldonado crash count threads, some fans betting on his next shunt, yet his occasional bursts of speed kept hope flickering. Optimists argued he'd grow into his talent. Williams, drowning in debt, clung to his funding, praying for a miracle car. Pastor's debut year screamed one truth: he was a raw gem who could either shine or shatter everything. In 2012, Williams scored a Renault engine, boosting their hopes. Pastor's teammate Bruno Senna carried a famous name, but Pastor stole the spotlight, for better or worse. He opened the season by slamming into Romain Grosjean in Australia, trashing both cars. Later, he botched a points finish by crashing on the final lap. Malaysia brought an engine failure, Bahrain a tire puncture that sent him spinning. Then Spain happened.
We have 5 lights on ahead of the drivers, and away we go here in Barcelona. It's a decent start from Maldonado, but Alonso's gaining on him as Maldonado pushes him on almost to the grass. We had 4 from 4. It's now going to be 5 out of 5. Another different winner, a new winner in Formula 1. It's Pastor Maldonado ahead of Fernando Alonso. Kimi Raikkonen's challenge, he came close but not close enough, and down at Williams with their first Grand Prix victory since Juan Pablo Montoya in 2004.
Pastor shocked the world, nabbing pole over Lewis Hamilton. On race day, he fended off Fernando Alonso in a heart-pounding duel, claiming Venezuela's first F1 win. The Williams crew went wild, and Frank Williams, marking his 70th birthday, grinned ear to ear. That glorious coup should have pivoted his career, but Pastor's mayhem only surged, crowning him F1's wreckage wizard. Rivals were livid. Lewis Hamilton often caught in Pastor's crosshairs, branded him erratic, a diplomatic jab at his madness. Pastor's lone glory couldn't mask his status as F1's most divisive figure, adored by few, dreaded by many. The shine dulled fast. Pastor's next race, he clipped a rival on lap 2, killing their chances. In Britain, he tangled with another car, copping a fine. At a Caracas promo event, he spun into a guardrail, stunning hometown fans. His Spain triumph was a one-off in a season of catastrophe. Senna doubled his points, but Pastor's win and PDVSA's cash kept him safe. In 2013, Williams' car tanked, slow and brittle. Pastor and rookie Valtteri Bottas scrapped for crumbs. Pastor's year was a rap sheet, crashing in Monaco, wiping out a rival in Japan, and stacking penalties for dumb moves. He scored 1 point, Bottas nabbed a few, plus a lucky third in Canada's qualifying. Pastor's bedlam was unrivaled, his results pitiful. In 2014, Pastor jumped to Lotus, a team starving for funds. Paired with Romain Grosjean, another crash-prone driver, they were a recipe for anarchy. Their first race proved it. Pastor sent Esteban Gutierrez's car flipping skyward, earning a stop-and-go penalty and 2 license points. In China, he overshot his pit box, nearly flattening a mechanic. In Spain, he spun before qualifying, leaving his team dumbfounded. The FIA rained penalties, grid drops, fines, you name it. Pastor scored in Austria, but Grosjean outdid him, showing the car wasn't the problem. Fans turned his gaffes into viral gold, with Number Crash Tour trending worldwide. Pastor's 2014 antics became a global circus, with media and fans feasting on his blunders. The chaos didn't stop. In Belgium, Pastor's practice session ended in a bizarre spin.
Maldonado, when he was a little over-optimistic at pit entry, and he brought his afternoon to
clipping a curb and nearly hitting a wall, leaving commentators speechless. His race day antics were no better. He nudged a rival into the gravel, earning another penalty. Team radio captured a mechanic's frustration. Pastor, please, just finish the lap. Off track, he clashed with sponsors, reportedly storming out of a PDVSA meeting when asked to drive safer. His defiance, flashing grins at press conferences, only fanned the flames. By season's end, Lotus was fraying, and Pastor's crashes were a financial albatross. His fleeting points couldn't justify the carnage he left behind. In 2015, Lotus got Mercedes engines, giving Pastor and Grosjean a shot at points. Pastor started strong, scoring in Canada, Austria, and Russia, but his demons roared back. In Hungary, he smashed into Sergio Perez, sped in the pits, and flouted safety car rules, bagging 3 penalties in one race. He'd bank points one weekend, then spark a pileup the next. Grosjean doubled his tally, proving Pastor was the weak link. His crashes bled Lotus dry, tanking morale. With Venezuela's economy in freefall, PDVSA's funds vanished. Lotus cut him loose. No team dared sign him. His F1 saga ended, leaving a trail of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Pastor's exit was a bitter pill in Venezuela, where his story became a political flashpoint. State media, once his cheerleader, went silent as Chavez's regime crumbled. Opposition leaders waved his $180 million tab like a bloody flag, decrying it as theft from a starving nation. Supporters, dwindling but loyal, clung to his Spain win as a fleeting moment of glory. In Maracay, his childhood track named a corner Maldonado's Madness, half tribute, half joke. Post F1, Pastor stood firm. He told a reporter, "Greatness demands risk." I never flinched. Fans rolled their eyes, but his nerve was undeniable. He lived on the brink, even if he plummeted off it too often. In Venezuela, PDVSA's bet on Pastor became a sore spot. Chavez had pitched him as a unifier, but the public was torn. Some hailed him as a pioneer, others as a lavish waste in a time of need. As the country spiraled, Pastor slipped into obscurity, his name fading outside F1's die-hard corners. His story wasn't just crashes, it was a clash of ambition, politics, and hubris. He was F1's wildest paradox, a driver who could have been great but chose to be a legend of chaos instead. Where does Pastor Maldonado slot in F1's Hall of Fame or infamy? Picture a tier list: Senna, Hamilton, and the flops. Pastor lands in the disaster deck, a driver with flickers of brilliance but a legacy of ruin. His speed was legit, but his brain was a slot machine. Compare him to Lance Stroll, who's dodged pay driver shade but never rivaled Pastor's havoc. That Spain win spares him the absolute pits, but only just. What's your verdict? Is Pastor F1's wildest maverick or a reckless waste of potential? Drop your ranking below. Should he top the disaster deck or sit lower? Spill it in the comments, and let's debate who's the true king of chaos.